have Mark Byford this morning, the bowler hat farmer, as my third guest on the show.
Jade, good morning.
Good morning, Mark. I'm so happy to interview someone who's UK based. So it's good for me to get feedback about what's going on in my own country. As much as I love learning about the world, sometimes we've got to bring news back home. So what's going on with the farming industry? I've got Mark here to tell us all about what's going on because he's been on a 7-month tour around the country, educating people about what's happening to farmers in the UK.
Jade, morning. It's been an interesting few years. So just to give you a bit of background on me.
Yeah.
I started on the family farm at 5 years old. And was, came through the farming system right up to the point I then set up my own market garden, ran market stalls, had my own farms, you name it. I've been through the complete wholesale food system. I've been right through every aspect of the food supply. And it's taken me, bear in mind I'm 57 now, so that's taken me through 52 years of my life. And in that 52 years, I've seen the food industry change to an unprecedented position where they do not care now if they poison you to get the profits. It's not about the quality of food, and that's a dangerous position I feel for us to be in. So early last year, I got involved in No Farmers, No Food campaign, which was rightly hijacked then by governmental officials, in my opinion. And so as a result of that, we went splintered out and did our own different things. Farmers to Action was set up as a result of that, and they've done some brilliant work, I have to say. And I took a different tour. So January this year, I was living on my uncle's farm, and January this year, my uncle sadly died. So I made a decision, and I came home one day, and we needed to leave the family farm because of family politics. So I said to my partner, how do you fancy going on tour? And she looked at me like I was mad. And I said, let's go and, see if we can get any bookings. And I advertised on my social media channels to see if we could get any bookings. And within days, we'd booked a 7-month tour to go around the entire country, Land's End to John Groves, Wales to East Anglia. And all the kind of free-thinking freedom groups were contacting me across the country saying, Mark, please come speak. So I set off with a quest that I was going to go and educate people about how bad the food supply was and all the terrible things that are happening. And people need to know because we're all going to starve to death. Now, there's still a lot of truth in that statement, but I'll come back to that section of it. And the reason I say is because we started the tour in February. We travelled down to Cornwall, down to Land's End, and stayed with farmers and that down there. And what came to light as we started to tour around the country was that, yes, while we have all this complete carnage and devastation going on within the food industry, what we've actually got is farmers that are starting to understand what's going on and starting to want to make the transition to take their business away from the commercial entity side of things back to a more holistic, natural growing side of things, and wanting to deal more with the public rather than dead corporations.
So what has been going on then? What's the problem?
That's what I was going to come back to. So over the past 50 years, there's been a very clever destruction quietly going on of the entire food industry worldwide. This isn't just an English thing. So, please, people say to me, oh, Mark, it doesn't make any difference if we don't have any British farmers. We'll just import the food. Let me assure you, you will not. And the reason I can categorically state that is because I talk to farmers worldwide on different chat rooms and different shows that are all going through the same things. Now, they're all going through the same things, but on a slightly different playing field. It's worded slightly different for that country. It's presented differently for that country.
Of course, it's all the same agenda, isn't it?
But the playbook's exactly the same. Now, obviously, for those who follow your channel, do or don't know, there is a thing called the 2030 Agenda in place that was put in place by an organisation called the World Economic Forum. A very dangerous group of bureaucratic billionaires who think they know how we should run the planet. And they set out a thing called climate change and a thing called net zero. And we all know the climate changes. And, you know, I'm looking outside today and thinking, well, that has definitely changed for whatever reason, whether that's aeroplanes in the sky, geoengineering, whatever that might look like, or whether that is just nature's way of the climate changing. And I'm sure over millions of years, the climate does do this, without a doubt. And if you
climate
know
change is it's not real, is it? It's not. No. It's not a human-made thing. Yeah, no, I know.
What I would say is, Jade, that possibly over the course of years, the planet does heat up and cool down. We get ice ages, we know, but that's not manipulated by man. That's just nature. What I will say is, I think that they know they can manipulate that by what they're doing with geoengineering and the different things. So as a result of that, they can make it extremely dry in one area or make it extremely wet in another area, and they can mess about with things to damage harvest, right?
I see. So it basically really it does affect your livelihood farming. Yeah.
Now, so what's happened, if I take the UK as an example here, at the moment we're dealing with three issues regarding livestock. So we've got blue tongue going on, we've got TB going on, and we've got bird flu going on.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Now, just to give you an idea, blue tongue is a cold, which cows get and sheep get. Bird flu is a cold what birds get. And if you leave them alone, 99.9% of them will get over it.
Yeah.
Right? And TB, they will tell you that TB's passed by badgers and all the other nonsense what goes on. I don't believe none of it. And if you look at how they test the animals to prove they've got it, it's a PCR test. And we all know that they're part of the safe and effective brigade. They're about as much use as a chocolate teapot. And one of the things, so that's going on. And DEFRA has been given authority by the government, and I say not our government, the World Economic Forum, because our government doesn't control anything anymore, in my opinion. They have been given the opportunity to go around and cull all of the animals this winter. So they're going around farms culling on the understanding that they are ill. They're not ill. And if they are ill, they'll get better, right?
I heard the same thing going on in Canada on an ostrich farm.
That's been going on for months, and they've just culled them, haven't they?
Yeah. It's just been going on forever. We grew up with, what was it, mad cow's disease. That was,
that was another load of bullshit set up at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to cull off British farming. So where we are at the moment, so that's, if I take that as the animal side, the livestock, that's what's going on with the livestock. We then have the second issue, which is worldwide prices of grain are deliberately manipulated and forced down. Okay, so wheat in 1972 was worth £150 a tonne off the farm. Okay, wheat this year was £151 a tonne. Now, in that 50 years, the cost of production has gone up 300%.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So farmers are losing £100 an acre to produce food.
Yeah.
And you can say, okay, well, maybe they should produce something else. Okay, I would agree they should, because if you take it, most farmers across the country produce, if it's a crop, they produce wheat, barley, sugar beet, oats, maize, and rapeseed. Well, if you take out the necessity of those crops, real necessity, oilseed rape is classed as biogenic. Why would you use it? Sugar, why would anyone be having it, you know, in abundance like we do? Your wheat and your barley and your oats are all coated heavily in glyphosates. Glyphosate, I don't know if you know, is a weed killer.
No, what's that?
So, okay, so glyphosate is a weed killer. But what it does, it kills the weeds and leaves the crop alone. Because the crop, what they now produce, what we deem as wheat, barley and oats, any cereal crop, has been geo-engineered over the time to be resistant to the poison. However, here's the problem. I don't know if you know anyone who's allergic to the gluten in wheat. So most people
don't say, but I'm quite sensitive to it sometimes. Too much gluten. Yeah.
Right. Well, most people are not allergic to gluten, right? What they're actually allergic to is the protein change in the wheat when it's coated in glyphosate. So
Makes
so
sense.
it changes the protein value.
Yeah.
So of course,
Right.
then your belly can't deal with it because it's not supposed to have it. So it makes you
Makes
feel ill, and
sense.
it's the same side effects as having gluten. But it isn't gluten; it's the glyphosate. I guarantee you, if you have bread that's made from organic spelt wheat, you will not get ill.
I don't have a problem with it at all.
And
Yeah.
it's the same. And
Yeah.
then, so another challenge, and that's just so so put
Yeah.
that on one side at present.
Yeah.
The dairy industry has been raped and pillaged at the moment.
Oh my God.
You've
Yeah.
only got to look at Arla and what they've allowed to happen in Denmark and Netherlands. So I don't know if you're aware of this, you viewers, but
Nope.
they tested a thing
Fill it
last
all
year called
out.
they tested a thing last year called Bovia,
Right.
Bovair, and it's an additive they add to the cow's food, so they produce less methane, so they burp and fart less. And all the farmers kicked up about it, so there's no way we're having this. Of course, Arla just railroaded over the top. We're doing these trials on our own farms, and all the cows have started, a year on, have started dying of stomach ulcers, and
Oh my
just
God.
because they. And what it is, it's a bleach additive, so it just
Terrible.
eats their insides out.
Oh
So,
my goodness. Yeah.
but when you look at all of this, Jade, and what you understand is that all of this is deliberate.
Yeah,
Now,
of course.
so what's
Absolutely.
been going on is
Mm.
there's a very benevolent guy who just loves to keep the world. He just loves to give himself to the world at every opportunity. And this guy used to own a computer company, let's say, um, and goes under the name of Bill Gates. And as a result of that, he's pumped billions into producing alternative foods. Now, let's go through some of them. So, if you look at the meat industry and you start taking out the reason they're getting rid of all the animals, well, how are you going to have your protein if it doesn't come from meat? Well, that's not an issue because they're now doing lab grown meat. That is all produced by Bill Gates' companies. If you look at the money what's been pumped into maggot farming has predominantly come through from Bill Gates' funding streams. So I went to visit a maggot farm down just outside London, and I said to the guys when I went, I said, look, so I'm going to talk about a positive here because this, as much as they're producing the maggots and what my assumption was, I'll just go down. So I went to see this company.
Well, we're going to eat maggots.
Okay, so before I go on to the story, let me tell you why. So Bill Gates has designed maggots for protein that they can produce into a meat product that we can then be fed as burgers.
Oh,
right?
Right.
So, but to do that, they've got to get rid of the meat. And to sell lab-grown meat at the moment, the price is up there, and farming meat is down there. So what's going to force us to do that? Well, if you take away the meat, the production of this goes up, so the price comes down, right?
Right.
So they can then get us to eat it on the understanding that there is nothing else. Well, I don't know about you, Jade, but I don't want to eat maggot burgers, right? So, as a result of
God,
this,
you're really, I thought I knew a lot, but wow, you're really opening my mind here. There's a lot more going on, isn't there? It's just this is mad. Yeah. You're opening a can of worms here.
I haven't started yet. Right, so now he's got the meat products in place. He needs to eliminate the meat. When you eliminate the meat, you eliminate, obviously, if you get rid of cows, you get rid of dairy.
Of course, yeah.
Now, Arla does not care if they get rid of all the cows. Now, bear in mind that's Arla's entire business is dairy. They don't care because they own all the coconut milk, all the oat milk,
right,
all the synthetic milks you can imagine around the planet are owned by Arla. So they don't care if you have real milk or synthetic milk.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
All they care about is profit. Now, the
Yeah.
profit is in making synthetic meats. And
yeah. Oh. Have we lost Mark? Oh, 1 sec. There we go.
Sorry, we disappeared.
That's all right. What happened there?
Let me see if I can turn you around the other way. That's better.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, what we see is that as...
Sorry, go on.
Okay, so what we see is as Bill Gates is progressing forward with pushing his agenda to have synthetic meats and synthetic milks and so forth, the animal population's coming down.
Right.
So, now, he's only one aspect of all of this, because most world leaders now are vegan.
Okay.
And if you do the research, you will look into this. Most of the leadership around the world, apart from Donald Trump,
so they don't mind
either vegan or vegetarian. So they're trying to push their agenda. Now, so that addresses the meat, the dairy, cereal crops. Right, let's come down. Now let's come down to vegetables.
Yeah.
Because it's important for them to be able to break the entire chain.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, fruit and vegetable farming in the UK, at the end of the Second World War, we produced 75% of all the food we needed in the UK. At this point, that's less than 30%.
Right.
Right, now, so less than 30% of the food we need in the UK is produced in the UK, so the other 70% is imported. But where's it going to come from when all the other farms around the world,
of course,
have the same issue?
It's all the same rubbish coming in.
Right, so not only have we got poor quality food, we have a lack of food. Now,
right.
If I take you through this scenario, so fruit and vegetables as a classic example, we used to grow a lot in the UK, but they've priced it out of the market. Now, that's been achieved by certain ways. So, fertiliser costs used to be £50 a tonne. They're now £800 a tonne.
Right.
Seed costs, if you go back to when my granddad had the farm, they kept all their own seed at the end of the year, and that was what they had to grow next year.
Right.
That doesn't work anymore. Farmers were encouraged to get rid of that system and get their grain from a seed producer instead. So this,
why? Under what premise? I mean,
because what happens is, if you want to sow your seed, you need to be able to dress it. And dressing was quite difficult. So you dress it in a liquid fertiliser to make it grow and shoot, and so makes it easier for sowing. And they designed factories to be able to do that like that, rather than men spending weeks on it. So once they've got farmers to agree that was the better principle, they had complete control over the food supply. So what they did was then started saying, we can sell them a GMO food, what will not reproduce if you set it. So if they give you GMO grain, you put it in the ground, it comes up. Yes, it'll be resilient to mold, and it'll be great, and you can do everything with it. It's immune to glyphosate, so you've got you can put weed killer on it, and then you have an issue. At that point, that seed you get will not grow next year. Right? So what happens? You've got to go back and say, please, sir, can I have some more?
It's been killed off, literally.
So the farmers are then reliant on the system to get next year's food.
Of course.
Right? And that's what they've done. Now,
basically completely the opposite of what farming is, which is an organic system to keep reproducing.
Nature driven. Right. Now,
I've targeted you right at the core.
At the core. Now, on the other side of that, we've also got the issue with certain things coming down from above.
Right.
Aluminium being a massive one.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of seeds, if you've got dead soil, now, most agricultural land across the UK now has less than 5% life. It's got no mycelium, and the mycelium is what? The mycelium helps push the nutrition into the root structure of the food, okay?
Yeah.
And it gives it its natural nitrogens and passes all the vitamins and minerals to it. However, it can only do that if the soil has life. Now, most soil is dead. So the reason they put synthetic fertilizers on is to make it grow, because it won't grow naturally. Okay?
Yeah.
So one of my campaigns at present is based around litter picking, and I'll tell you for why. Because the microplastics and the micro cardboards and everything else is blocking up the food system. So we've got to get that out. So we're encouraging people to get out and do litter picking, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, the biggest issue we've got is we need to repair the soil.
Yeah.
And that's obviously a big part of litter picking, is getting rid of all that rubbish, getting rid of the plastics, getting rid of human waste off of farms as well, because sewage has been pumped onto farms to get rid of it from the sewage companies. Well, the problem is, these days, everyone's taking an abundance of pharmaceutical drugs. Everyone's taking in loads of microplastics without knowing about it, and that's all ended up on the land. So we've got to get rid of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then we come back and we start looking at other factors. So if the soil's dead, the seed won't grow.
Right.
Now, Bill Gates has brought out the most amazing product called aluminium resistant seed.
Oh my God.
You couldn't make it up, I tell you.
Right.
So if you take that and set it, it'll grow, but it won't give you any seed back because it's GMO modified. So you need to go back next year and say, please, can I have some more of that magic seed that'll grow, right? So we're starting to take to bits the industry. So food industry, meat, dairy, wheat, vegetables. That's 90% of our food industry. Right. So once you've got them out of the way, let's backtrack. How do you get them out of the way? So it was very expensive for farmers to produce food in the UK. Right. So if you are a farmer and you are going to lose £100 an acre, and I get shot in the head by a lot of farmers for this because they can't deal with the maths of this. If you're going to lose £100 an acre and you are in the position that you think to yourself, I've got 1,000 acres, I know I'm going to lose, £100,000 this year. How do I stop that happening? The options are slim, because all of those 6 products, wheat, barley, oat, maize, rapeseed, and meat, has been undervalued by the supermarkets deliberately, because supermarkets are subsidised and funded by the British government in hundreds of different ways. Yeah. To keep the price of food deliberately down, less than what the farm should sell it for.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, what you end up with is supermarkets sell it cheap. To sell it cheap, they don't care what they have to add to it or how inferior the product is. It's just about the profits.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So even here's a classic example. I'll give you a classic example of this. I used to deliver a veg box to a friend of mine, and he said to me, Mark, look, because you can't guarantee anything's organic, he said, I'm going to transfer over to buying my fruit and veg from Waitrose. He said, and they've got a lovely organic range. I said, I've got a nitrate tester, which is a little machine you stick in the fruit and veg and it tells you how much nitrates it was grown with. So he said, right. I said, will you do me a favour? Tell me what you're buying and I'll bring around the equivalent from mine, what I've grown.
Right,
because chemical-free farming and organic farming are very, very different.
Yeah.
So the Soil Association allows farmers to use 6 chemicals still in organic farming. We don't use anything, right? As chemical-free farmers. So I said, so he went to Waitrose, picked up 10 items, and I took my 10 items and we nitrate tested them. The organic veg, the nitrates were higher, some of them 200-300% higher than what our chemical-free grown food was, right? Now, so value for value, what are you really getting? Now, the reason I say about this is because for me, I'm talking, when I'm doing my tour, about the nutritionally dense value of food. Because that's the bit what keeps people healthy. That's the bit what means you don't need pharmaceutical drugs. That's the bit what means you don't need the vitamins and minerals. You just need 2 good meals a day, which are full of the vitamins and minerals and good quality food. A cup of raw milk a day will do you the world of good. Build your gut bio up and do you the world of good. Now, so the government's doing everything it can to stop that kind of farming, because there's no money in that kind of farming for the supermarkets, because what they want to do is sell cheap, nasty shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, here's a classic example. My partner Gloria, we were, while we were out on the road, we wanted to pick up some nuts, and we couldn't find any in any of the health food shops that we wanted. And I said, look, as much as I begrudgingly do this, pop into Sainsbury's and, you know, get some.
Yeah.
And she came out and she said, you know, you're wrong. The shelves are not empty. And then she laughed, and I said, what do you mean they're not empty? She said, well, she said, all the shelves are full, but there's no food in there. She said, there's no really good quality meat, dairy, vegetables.
Packaged
it's
nonsense.
all pre-packaged shite.
Yeah.
You know, that.
I say that all the time.
And this is where it comes back to what I was saying about the litter side.
All rubbish.
As we travelled around the country, the litter we saw on the side of the roads, which was abundant everywhere, right, was down to two things: fast food packaging and supermarket meal deal packaging. Right? It was either Greggs, McDonald's, you know, or Tesco's, or a bottle of orange juice, pack of crisps, whatever, you know, it was all just the shit what people eat and chuck out the window. Yeah. Which gets back into the food stream, right? So, so once we start looking at those things that are challenges, that from the meat, the dairy, you know, and the veg and everything else, I have had to ask the questions myself. When I was a child, I don't know, so when I was 21, I got introduced to the 2030 agenda, which then was classed the 2021 agenda. Right, yeah. And I was only 21 years old. And one of my friends, Dennis, who I believed at the time was a conspiracy theorist. He was a mad professor of, you know, knowledge, and he was completely barking crazy mad. Kept saying to me, he said, look, I'm never going to have kids, but you've got kids, you need to be aware of this. And he kept telling me something until I finally looked into it and went, ugh. Now, the thing I could never understand, Jade, was how are you ever going to convince a farmer to stop growing food? Right? Because that's what farmers do. Yeah. Farmers either grow vegetables, grow wheat, rear animals. That's what they do. How do you stop them doing that? And I thought that's never going to happen. Yeah. However, we ended up with a challenge. They made it so profitable to not produce food that farmers thought that was a good idea. So if you could grow wheat, and possibly if you grew the best wheat ever, you might break even, and bear in mind that you're going to have to invest a large amount of only break even. You're going to invest a lot of money in the fertilizers, the seeds, and everything else, the time, the resources, the diesel, to get that crop to grow. Right. Pray we get rain, pray we get sun at the right times, and all these other things. Yeah. Or they'll pay you £350 per acre, the government will, to grow wildflowers. Right. Right? Yeah. Now, interestingly, they're on this wage of war at the moment on the animals, to get rid of animals off farmland. And that is deliberate. Now, it isn't anything to do with net zero, I assure you. What it is to do with is putting good quality nutritional fertilizer into the soil, because that's the bit they're trying to break. So whether people want to accept what I'm about to say or not is up to them, right? But this world war, what's going on at the moment, and that is what we are at war physically with the World Economic Forum. And I say we as in the population of the planet. This is about about depopulation. Yeah. And it's depopulation of up to 80 to 90% of the people on the planet. That's what they're looking for. Yeah. Yeah. So the only way they can achieve that is to turn us guys against each other. We know they've tried that through creed, colour, religion, you name it, you know. Yeah. Yeah. We keep having all these wars what go on and kill a few 100,000 people, and you know, but the way to get us to really achieve it is to take away the food. Yeah. Because that's the quickest thing. You know, you think men can be dangerous going to war until you realise that a mum can't feed her children, and then she'll become real dangerous. Yeah. And that's where we are heading towards. Yeah. So, and I say this is not a UK issue. This is a worldwide. I've had people contact me in the last week. We spoke off air about this ostrich farm in Canada where, you know, they've culled all the ostriches. Yeah. You know, in New Zealand, they've been slaughtering cattle and sheep like it's going out of fashion on the grounds of net zero, because they've pushing the farmers towards planting trees and not having livestock. So they're making it so valuable to plant trees and no value in producing meat. So the farmers are just going, yeah, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Now the problem is, where does the food come from? Because even if you think to yourself, okay, well, if we're not going to have meat, then what are we going to have?
Yeah.
And they say, oh, that's okay, we're going to have lab-grown meat. Okay. How big a lab would you need? How many farms are there worldwide? Now, just to give you an idea, just in the UK alone, in the last 2 years, we have lost 12,000 farmers.
Oh my goodness.
That's the situation.
It's
We have 200,000 farmers in the UK 2 years ago, and we've lost.
History of farming. It's just so sad. When I think back on like British culture, I think of farming.
You do. And, you know, it's no different anywhere else. You know, you look at America, America's lost something like 100,000 farms a year. That's how many farms they're losing. Right. You know, their average farm size was about 50 acres. As a big farm was 50 acres. Now it's 50,000 acres.
Yeah.
The problem what comes with that, Jade, is that the quality of food that I produce on a very small farm is really, really high in nutritional value.
Yeah.
And I know you interviewed Joel Salatin recently, and Joel is all about the nutritional value. Yeah. He's got quite a good sized farm. You know, he's all about the biodiversity of the farm, putting the goodness back into the soil, getting the animals on the land to make sure the fertilizers go back in. He's really understood from a very young age, and he's had, you know, years on his farm putting that energy back into the food supply. Yeah. And he is, in my opinion, the god of biodiversity in farming. Yet we have this issue going on in the background that corporations that make an inferior product can control the food supply chain because of this stuff. And as a result of that, they're then dictating to government what should be law. You know, that's why things like raw milk, for instance, gets such a bad deal within the industry, is because it's been victimized and villainized to be the bad person because somebody died in 1850 of, you know, being poisoned by milk with, you know, infected milk. But when you, I mean, there's a classic example, right? Yeah. When cities were starting to grow, and the farmers realized that you take something like fresh milk and you need to put it on a horse and cart and drive it all the way to the city. By the time it got there on a hot day in a metal bucket, it was gone off. Right. So they needed to find a way. This was before refrigeration, obviously. They needed to find a way to get the milk closer to the people. Yeah. So what they decided to do was build farms inside cities. Right. And what they did was fed them on the brewery waste and the bakery waste. Right. Right. So they had no grass. Yeah. They had synthetic foods what had already had the goodness taken out of them. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So if you take a brewery waste, what's left? Waste. Yeah. There's no goodness in it. Yeah. Your protein's been stolen, you know, and so the cows got sick. As a result of the cows getting sick, the milk was poor quality, and what happened? Raw milk got a bad deal. So they came up with pasteurization 150 years ago, thereabouts, to put right that problem. But it was addressing a problem that didn't exist pre the problem, right? So if you say, okay, well, every farmer that's in the country that doesn't do feed waste to their animals, therefore should be okay. People, you know, people think they're going to die if they drink raw milk, and I'm like, I've only ever drunk raw milk. Yeah. That's all I drink. You know, I don't drink. And I hate synthetic. And when I say synthetic, I mean the white water you get out of supermarkets. It really is. It's insane. And it isn't just milk. You know, you look at milk. Let's take eggs. They're a fine example. I've got a friend who's got a big chicken farm for egg production, and he keeps about 200,000 birds. And that's small in scale, but big compared to what we would farm. And they give their birds a thing called yolk bright. Okay? Now, if you crack an egg and it's watery and yellow and you'd go, oh, that's just an egg. But if you cracked a really good quality organic egg, which has been grass fed and, you know, loved, nurtured, looked after, had a happy life, and you crack one of their eggs, they've got really golden orange yolks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the industry, realizing that, now feeds hens yolk bright, which makes their eggs look like they're organic, good quality, grass fed.
I see.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful now.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the moment, we're under,
Yeah.
dare I say, bird flu restrictions because this pretend virus is spreading the country. Spread by wild birds, I would have to say. Now, just on that, let's just talk about that quickly. So earlier this year, the government brought in a policy that if you had even one chicken at home, you had to register. And it used to be 50 and above, so it was a farm scale. So the reason they did that is because if you've got a farm A and farm B, and they're 50 miles apart, and you are DEFRA and you need a reason for farm A, who you've just proven has got bird flu because you used a false testing system, and you want to prove it got to farm B 50 miles away, and you're going to prove it again on a false testing system, you need to prove how it got there.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if farmer A and farmer B are 50 miles apart, however, in between there, Auntie Flo's got 6 ducks, which she's registered, and Bob's got 2 geese, and Harry's got 12 chickens, and and Terry keeps pheasants, and
it's ridiculous.
And that's how they're justifying it spreading, right? So that's why they got everyone to register their birds.
Stupid.
So, I mean, lots of people didn't register, I know, and lots of people
what a waste of time as well to register every single bloody bird. I mean,
but think about
mad.
Right, I'm a great believer of British politics is never ever properly sorted out. They always just patching it up constantly, right? And we've got to have a real big change in our policy structure.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, the party what's in at the minute, and I don't care how anybody votes, right? The party what's in at the minute are always, whenever they get into power, will always encourage the growth of civil servants deliberately, because they know they will continue to vote them in.
Right.
Right? So what we've ended up with is all these governmental departments coming up with stupid ideas to need more staff. And that's where we are with DEFRA at the moment. DEFRA, the Environment Agency. The Environment Agency are insane.
I know.
They are absolutely insane. Do you know
They're
what?
Insane, Mark.
They
they're
won't
all
let
insane.
us, as farmers, they won't let us dredge rivers. They won't let us dredge ditches. Well, the reason we've got so much flooding in the country, and this comes down to another policy. If you look into this, and there's a lady by the name of Sandy Adams. I don't know if you've ever heard of Sandy Adams.
Yes. Yeah.
Sandy's. You want to interview her? Sandy's lovely. Now, Sandy has documentation to prove about a thing called reseeing. Okay. Which is where they deliberately let the sea defences get eroded so it resees part of the land. And that's going on the Norfolk coast at the moment at a place called Hemsby. So you go Caister, Hemsby, Winterden, and all of that along that coastline on the Norfolk coastline is deliberately being eroded to reflood the countryside. Hundreds of thousands of acres. They're allowing the seawall to get broken down, so once it floods, they can say, oh no, look what's happened. Same thing's going on down in Cornwall, same thing's going on in Wales, right? It's going on all around the country, and this is a thing called reseeing. So they're deliberately taking away our land to put it back. Now, that's down to the fact of, and I'm not just spouting here, go check the facts. Please, please, people, go check the facts. There is a map on the WEF website that states what the population will look like by 2050. Okay? By 2050, the UK is uninhabited. And so is most of Europe. And so is North America. Right down to Mexico, no population.
Wow.
Right? And that's what they're doing at the minute with planting all these trees. This is the rehabilitation in advance of what's coming. You rehabilitate all the plants, you then depopulate the population. And that's where we're going at the moment. That's this 2030, 2050 agenda. There's two different agendas, and you need to look at them. Study the maps of where you live at the minute and what it's going to look like by 2050. It's scary.
So they're trying to say that they're planting trees under the agenda that it's good for the environment or something.
Obviously, we know that there's far too much carbon in the atmosphere. How much carbon's in the atmosphere, Jade? Do you know?
No.
Okay. The reason you don't know is because you've no reason to know.
Yeah.
Right. The amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is 0.04%. Okay. If it gets to 0.28%, we stop breathing because the plants stop producing oxygen.
Okay.
So how the fuck are we going to get to net zero?
Right. Yeah.
No carbon in the atmosphere. That's what they're talking about. For us to get to net zero, we need no carbon.
Right.
For no carbon, we can't have plants and we can't have humans.
Right.
So what are they trying to do to wipe the planet out?
Right.
So that's when you realise net zero is a lie.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, China's building coal and nuclear power stations like they're going out of power. What are we doing? We're putting in wind turbines. I mean, they are just a joke.
Yeah.
You've got thousands of litres of oil stored in them.
Yeah.
That needs changing all the time.
Yeah.
You have to start them with a diesel engine.
Yeah.
They have tens of thousands of tons of steel and concrete will go into the ground to hold it up. If this is good for the environment, I'll eat my hat.
Yeah.
And then we come down to the other side, solar panels.
Right.
So, now, I'm not against alternative energy. I'm genuinely not. I don't agree with solar being on agricultural land. If you want to put solar somewhere, stick it on supermarket roofs, stick it on warehouse roofs, stick it anywhere the sun shines, right?
Okay.
But it shouldn't be on agricultural land. Now, here's another reason. So I was saying farmers lose £100 an acre if they, but they can earn £350 an acre if they grow pretty flowers. How much do you think they're paid to put solar on their farm?
Oh, I don't know. But what was it for flowers? £350?
£350 per acre per year.
£1,000 per acre.
Keep going.
Oh.
Nearly two.
Really?
Nearly £2,000 an acre. Why wouldn't farmers want to secure the future of the farm by putting solar panels on their land?
Right.
And people say, oh, it's a disgrace these farmers giving up all this land. They're looking at new tax implications. Inheritance tax, I personally don't think is as bad as farmers think. They've all been talking about IHT, but the problem with IHT is it's just a policy.
Right.
Policies change with government.
Yeah.
Get a different government in, the policy can be changed.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
So solar panels, Mark, if they go on the land, basically it's the infrastructure which is ruining the farmland.
Now, not just the infrastructure. If they leak, the chemicals they leak will sit in the ground for 100 years.
Gosh.
It costs £1 million per acre to uninstall solar correctly.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, now, what I will say on that, Jay, and this is the important bit for people to understand about this.
Yeah.
If you grow food, wheat, barley, oats, sugar beet, maize, rape, whatever that might be, on big commercial scale, you will grow 20% productivity within that soil.
Okay.
In dead soil. For me, on really, really nutritional valued soil, I can produce, so they will grow 3 tonne an acre, I will grow 30 tonne an acre.
Right.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So, if we could get the farmers that are left at the end of all of this to understand that we don't want to grow that way, we're using pharmaceutical, nonsense. If we could grow organically, and I say organic as in naturally, if we could grow using things like electroculture, for instance, I don't know if you've ever come across that.
No.
Oh, gee. this blew my head. We installed it in the farm. So on the periodic table years ago, there used to be a thing called the ether.
Okay.
Okay, and it's disappeared from the periodic table.
Has it really?
Yes. If you get an old periodic table and look at it, you'll find it's missing, right? And the reason behind that is because someone like Tesla and other people discovered that you could take free energy from the atmosphere, get it down, and use it as an electricity.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So Tesla could do wireless electricity by taking it out of the ether and using it, and everyone could have free electricity. Hence, he was killed off.
Right.
Now, the guys who discovered electroculture realised if you could get that energy and put it into the ground, you could make vegetables grow double, quadruple, triple the size. Right? And the nutritional value went through the roof because the energy was there.
Yeah.
Right? And it multiplied the energy in the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously that had to be stopped.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So in just before the First World War, right up until 1938, there was a guy who had discovered this, and he was working on amazing projects. And he'd sold millions and millions of these antennas, what you put in the garden, and that you put your cables under your vegetables, and the vegetables grew massive. And as a result of that, the start of the Second World War, they all had to be handed in for the war effort because they needed more metal. At the same time, they took down all the church bells because they were at the precise decibels that healed people. Okay?
Yeah. Like
at the same point, they started taking out copper piping and putting in lead piping because copper was good for passing good energy. Lead would poison people. All of these things were stacked up against the public at that point. Now, you know, so there's lots of good quality stuff going on at the moment that I've seen. And the production of food, I believe, in the future will be very different. And this comes back, so I'll go back now to the maggot farm, which I spoke about earlier. I went to visit a company called MAD, and two brothers, and they've set up this system where they got a load of funding in, they were working with these guys, and they set up this maggot farm to produce maggots for protein for us to eat. Yeah. But what they realised, for every pound in value that they produce maggot meat, they produce £10 in manure and compost. Okay. Really good quality nutrition, densely nutritional soil, you know, came out of it. Yeah. So they then realised if they didn't allow the larvae to be taken for the meat consumption, and they cooked them and ground them up and put it back into the soil, there's a thing called chitin or chitin, however people pronounce that in the UK. The chitin is a natural insect repellent. Okay. Okay. So if you take these larvae, the other bugs are scared of it. Yeah. So you cook them, grind them up, put them into the soil, sprinkle this around your flower beds and your gardens. Yeah. And it's great fertilizer, but it's also got the chitin in, which then keeps the bugs away. Yeah. So it's a natural weed killer. Yeah, you know, natural repellent for pesticide. Yeah. So there's different things out there we've seen this year on the tour. Yeah. Where you go, wow, that's really clever. Yeah. So if farmers wanted to adapt that, now what we're seeing is that the farmers that are staying in farming are transitioning across that way. Right. So whilst we might only end up with 20% of farmland actually ends up farming in 10 years' time, what we'll end up with is that 20% will produce more food than what the other 80% produced anyway. Yeah. So when people say to me, Mark, you know, we're going to lose all the farmers, we probably, and I hate to say this, Jade, and I get slaughtered for this, but we probably need to lose a lot of our farmers because they don't farm good quality food anymore. Yeah. And they don't want to, they're not interested. You know, you can go and have a conversation with them, they can't see the wood for the trees. Yeah. So unfortunately, we need to lose the old farmers. Yeah. And get new people. Why can't they see what's going on? I mean, I just don't get it. It's common sense, isn't it? When you when you explain it, it's illogical to not understand it. I mean, do you know what I mean? I'll tell you what the problem is. Yeah. If you're into the bank for a load of money, okay, and the only chance you've got, The only chance you've got of keeping that overdraft is to stay in bed with the chemical company.
Right.
Because the chemical company will guarantee your bank overdrafts and things like that. And you can't get a new tractor on lease, which you really need because, you know, you're used to using big, heavy equipment on the soil, destroying the soil. You know, I farm with these.
Yeah.
I don't have a tractor. We just use these.
Wow. Yeah.
Small soil, small plots, 2-3 acres in a go.
Yeah.
Lots of people on there using their fingers. The soil, we only, you know, so we don't plough.
Yeah.
We're all about no dig, so the carbon stays in the ground. The carbon the plant can use. Your natural nitrogens are fed into the ground via your crops. What you know, so if you put beans on soil, for instance, beans are a natural. You know, putting nitrogen back in the ground.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Wow, your food must taste delicious.
It does.
Yeah, it must be delicious. Where are you based? You're too far from me, aren't you?
There's a company called organity.co.uk.
Okay.
Right, check them out. Organity.co.uk. The lady who runs the company is a lady called Nat, and she is just a beautiful soul, right? So, for me, while I've been on this tour, I'll get to Nat, and the why I say it is because while we've been on tour, we have built a website called foodfindershub.org, okay? And it allows people countrywide to find the nearest farm, butcher, baker, greengrocer nearest to them. Foodfindershub.org.
Right.
And we've allowed people now to be able to donate to help us support that, and people can go on there, donate as much as £1 a month if they want, or £1 one off, whatever. So they can help us build a new food system. Now, the reason I say we need a new food system is because the one we've got doesn't work. Right? It doesn't work. Commercial farming doesn't work. Commercial supermarkets don't work.
Yeah.
The crap they're selling doesn't work. Doesn't work for us, right? So, if we go backwards, I believe the new food system needs to go backwards.
Yeah.
We need small community-based farms.
Yeah.
We need local shops.
Yeah.
Community stores.
Yeah.
Proper community, which sells stuff local to them.
Yeah.
We need home delivery systems that can work around those things.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's happened to you, Jade, when you was a kid, but for me, we grew up in the country. If we got ill, the first thing Mum did was got a spoonful of local honey and shoved in your mouth.
Yeah.
Right? Why did they do that? Because the pollen what was in it was local. It addressed whatever issue you've got. Something what was missing from your diet, that pollen would have it in it to make you better.
Yeah.
Now, understand this, and a lot of people, when I say this, go, can't get my head around it. Right. Let's assume that your body knows the soil around you and knows what goodness it should have from locally produced food.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm sure it does.
I'm sure it does.
You're all part of the same local environment, aren't you?
Of course it is.
Of course.
Now, at this point in time, if you walk into a supermarket, where does the food come from?
Yeah, of course.
I'll guarantee you, you've got asparagus on the shelf from South America. You've got apples on the shelf from Chile, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. You've got everything on the shelves. There's sweet. Cool. What's British?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what do we actually produce?
As a country, we now produce very little fruit and veg, and that's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, because I always thought well, apples, British, I don't see any British apples in the supermarket. I don't understand.
And do you know what makes it worse?
Where's the rhubarb? We don't have any rhubarb anymore or anything like that.
We've got loads. Now, the problem is that the farmers that have got British farms, right, under legislation when we did Brexit, I voted for, and most farming community voted Brexit, right, to go for Brexit. Let's be honest, right? Most of the farming community did.
Yeah.
For no other reason than they wanted to get rid of Brussels.
Right.
And people go, oh, that's just because they're racist. Well, my partner's black Nigerian. I'm hardly racist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What came out of it was that government didn't think we would get that vote.
Yeah.
So government put everything in place to try and stop that being put into place.
Right.
And one of the things which they did was got rid of all the foreigners coming in to help for harvest.
Okay.
So farmers then couldn't pick the fruit and veg.
Right.
So the next year they didn't even bother planting it because they knew they couldn't pick it.
I see.
Apples, I've got friends who have got
massively
orchards.
Reduced what you produce.
I've got a friend who's got a 200-acre orchard, and the apples all fall on the ground because he can't pick the apples because he can't get no help.
Oh, what a shame.
I've got another friend, you know, he's just started selling his actually on social media. A guy by the name of David Wheatley, if you check him out, he's brilliant. He's up in Wisbeach, and he's just started selling his wheat, his French potatoes, and his apples and peonies and different things direct to the public via his Facebook page. And so, here's a classic example, right? Mm-hmm. If I go to buy wheat for chickens out of one of the wholesalers, that wheat's going to cost me about £15 for a 10-kilo bag. Okay. Mm-hmm. The farmer gets about £2.50.
Yeah.
So he's decided he'd rather sell it for £2.50 to the public than he would to a mill. Right?
Yeah.
£2.50 is his break-even point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he wants to sell it and earn some money, so he's going to sell it to the public. So that is what I think we're going to see a lot more of. Farmers selling directly to the public. And then they'll be able to get a good price for their produce. And the public will be able to say, listen, Farmer Joe, I'd really like you not to use the chemicals you're using.
Yeah.
And if you do that, I'll pay you more for it because there'll be more nutritional value to it, so my body will benefit more from that.
Oh, yeah.
That's where we are heading. Now, the corporations don't want us to go down that road.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a major issue. So, so that's why so many farmers now are joining the foodfindershub.org.
Yeah.
Because they're joining to sell their produce direct to the public.
Yeah.
Not to the, here's a classic example. Right.
Yeah.
100 years ago, nearly every village across the country had 1 or 2 mills.
Yeah.
Grinding flour.
Yeah.
Right? There is now less than 200 in the entire country.
Yeah, I've never seen a mill.
Right. Because now they're in big factories.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So, every village had an abattoir at the back of a butcher's. Now, where are they? Oh, they've all been shut down because they didn't like the way that farmers did it. Or they didn't like the way the butcher did it. They got to go for a big abattoir. All the small abattoirs were bought out and closed down deliberately by Bill Gates, right? Because they knew over the last 20 years where they were going, right, we need to get rid of the abattoirs, because the minute you've got no abattoirs, farmers who want to sell their meat now can't sell it direct to the public because they can't get it killed.
Yeah.
Because you can't kill it on the farm.
Yeah.
So what we're looking to do through the Food Finders Hub, and that's run by CIC, a community interest company.
Yeah.
So what we're looking to do is to fundraise to assist farmers in the next step to come across to the new style of farming.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And the way we're going to have to do that is we're going to build mobile mills and mobile abattoirs.
Okay.
Mobile mill turns up on your farm and I say, morning, Jade, how much wheat have you got to grind? And you say, well, I've got, 3 ton of wheat and I've got 3 ton of oats.
Yeah.
I'd like you to roll my oats and put it into 1 kilo bag so I can sell it in the farm shop.
Yeah.
As a breakfast cereal. Yeah. And I'd really like you to roll that 3 ton of wheat into flour, good quality flour, so that I can sell it in 2 kilo bags in the farm shop.
Yeah.
And we mill it, pack it, label it with all the appropriate labeling on the farm, and it's left with the farmer directly for them to sell to the public.
Yeah.
And that's how we beat this bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
100% wheat, no additives.
Yeah.
100% oats, no additives.
Yeah.
See, the problem we've got, the problem in the minute is, if you look at flour, people don't know this, right? But if you take pine wood and use a really fine plane
Don't tell me they put that in the flour. Are you joking?
No, that's how they bulk it out. They use the waste from
Is
the
the pine
industries.
that little?
Oh yeah,
Sometimes you see the little
and then
golden
bleach it
bit
to
in
make
the
it white.
seed in the
Yeah.
flour. Oh
They
my
take the
God.
sawdust and add it to the wheat when they're grinding, and then it all gets bleached to make it white.
No. Oh my God.
Okay, I could tell you things about the food industry that would make your hair curl, darling.
Oh God. So where
That's
do I
just
get my flour from now? Where?
there's some
You know.
absolutely great organisations out there which are producing great flour. For the WEF's agenda to take place, they need us to believe our community doesn't exist. They need us to believe that there's nowhere for us to turn. If you've
Right.
got a community to turn to, you suddenly become a lot stronger,
Yeah.
right? We
Yeah.
all know on our own, we go, oh, shit, should I go and have that argument? Should I go and have
Yeah.
that? But when you're backed up, you know, I've learned, I've got about 85,000 followers on social media now, and if I get picked about, you know, by whether it's vegans because they like to pick on me because of my thoughts on eating meat,
Yeah.
you know, whether
Yeah.
it's 77th Brigade, I don't know if you know about them, but 77th Brigade is an army division that is paid for by the government deliberately to attack people like me on social media. And they're just there picking away in the background, trying to wind people up. And they report your channel all the time to tell, you know, so that YouTube or Facebook doesn't, you know, allow your algorithm to pick you up. Now, the reason I say about that is because if you take the necessity for
Yeah.
them to break that community,
Yeah.
I never have to defend myself on my social media. My
Right.
audience defends me
Yeah.
because they believe in what I'm talking about, because they're my tribe,
Yeah.
as to
Yeah.
speak. You know,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
my own community.
Yeah.
They might belong to 1,000 other communities, but that is their passion. They'll protect that, and
Yeah.
that's where we all have to get to again.
Yeah.
And that local community, because Jade, I genuinely say this, and I don't say this to point wanting to put fear into people. I
Yeah.
genuinely believe that our food system will crash within the next few months.